in the sprawling tapestry of the Mushroom Kingdom, where heroic adventures echo through pipe-filled landscapes and magical worlds await beyond every warp zone, one figure stands uniquely in the shadows of legend: Luigi, the emerald-clad plumber, whose journey spans decades of courage, hidden beneath layers of endearing cowardice. From his earliest days as a simple palette swap to his evolution into a fully realized hero with his own distinctive identity, Luigi's story represents something profound about finding one's place in a world that often overlooks the quiet strength of those who serve alongside the spotlight. His tale begins not with fanfare, but with humble origins that would shape a legend. The story of Luigi begins not on solid ground, but suspended high above the clouds in the gentle grasp of destiny itself. Through the pristine skies above what would later become known as Yoshi's Island, a devoted stork carried two precious bundles wrapped in soft blankets, each containing an infant who would grow to reshape the very foundations of heroism across multiple kingdoms. The stork, following an ancient duty passed down through generations of his kind, soared peacefully through the morning air, with Mario and Luigi nestled safely in his care, unaware that dark forces had already taken notice of his precious cargo. From the shadows of a floating fortress, the Magic-Koopa Kamek peered through his crystal ball with growing alarm as visions of the future unfolded before his ancient eyes. The prophecies spoke of twin brothers whose arrival would spell doom for the Koopa Kingdom, and as Kamek gazed upon the approaching stork, he knew that destiny itself flew toward Yoshi's Island. Without hesitation, he summoned his most trusted servants, the toadies, commanding them to intercept the stork and capture the infant brothers before they could reach their intended destination. The very air seemed to crackle with dark magic as the toadies took flight, their mission clear and the resolve absolute. The attack came with devastating swiftness as the toadies descended upon the unsuspecting stork like shadows given form. Despite the noble bird's best efforts to protect his charges, the dark creatures proved too numerous and too determined in their assault. In the chaos that followed, Luigi and the stork were successfully captured, torn from the peaceful sky and spirited away to baby Bowser's imposing castle. However, fate intervened in the most unexpected way as baby Mario, the elder of the twins, by mere minutes, tumbled from the stork's grasp and plummeted toward the verdant landscape below. Fortune smiled upon the falling infant as he landed not on the hard ground, but on the soft back of a green dinosaur who had been peacefully wandering through the island's lush forests. Yoshi, for that was the creature's name, felt an immediate connection to the human child who had literally dropped into his life. The baby's cries spoke of danger and separation, and though Yoshi could not understand the complex emotions that drove him, he knew with absolute certainty that this child belonged with another, a brother whose absence created an incomplete picture in the very fabric of their shared destiny. Word of baby Mario's arrival spread quickly through the Yoshi community, carried by a network of friendship and mutual aid that had protected the island for countless generations. The other Yoshis, recognizing the gravity of the situation, through their inherent connection to the forces of nature itself, pledged their assistance without hesitation. Each brought unique abilities to the rescue mission, their diverse colors representing different aspects of the natural world that would prove essential in the trials ahead. Together, they formed an unstoppable force, driven by the pure desire to reunite the separated brothers and restore balance to their peaceful island home. The journey to Baby Bowser's castle proved treacherous beyond anything the Yoshis had previously encountered. The fortress itself loomed against the horizon like a monument to dark ambition, its twisted spires and jagged battlements designed to strike fear into the hearts of any who dared approach. Yet Yoshi pressed forward with baby Mario secured safely on his back, the infant's presence serving as both motivation and magical enhancement that seemed to amplify the dinosaur's natural abilities. Through treacherous lava pits and across platforms that defied the very laws of physics, they advanced toward their goal with unwavering determination. Within the castle's depths, Luigi remained imprisoned alongside the captured stork, both held captive by Baby Bowser's crude but effective security measures. The infant Koopa Prince, already displaying the megalomania that would characterize his adult years, had claimed the prisoners as trophies of his first successful military operation. Yet even in captivity, Luigi's natural resilience shone through as he refused to surrender to despair, his infant mind somehow understanding that rescue would come from an unexpected source. The bond between the brothers, though they had spent precious little time together, transcended physical separation and called out across the castle's dark corridors. The confrontation between Yoshi and Baby Bowser became the stuff of legend, a battle that would be retold in hushed whispers for generations to come. Despite his youth, Baby Bowser commanded formidable magical powers and demonstrated a tactical cunning that belied his apparent innocence. The young Koopa Prince fought with the fury of one defending his first conquest, unwilling to surrender the prizes he had claimed through his dark ambitions. Yet Yoshi, empowered by righteousness and enhanced by Baby Mario's mysterious influence, proved equal to the challenge in every way that mattered. Victory came not through overwhelming force, but through the patient application of strategy and the unwavering belief in the righteousness of their cause. As Baby Bowser fell defeated, his dark magic began to unravel, releasing the supernatural bonds that had held Luigi and the stork captive within the castle's depths. The reunion of the brothers, though they were too young to fully comprehend its significance, marked a moment of cosmic importance that would echo through their future adventures. Luigi's grateful cries mixed with Mario's joyful babbling as the stork gathered both infants in his protective embrace once more. The stork, deeply grateful to Yoshi and his companions for their heroic intervention, resumed his interrupted journey with renewed purpose and determination. As they soared away from the defeated castle, Luigi gazed back toward the island that had served as the stage for his first rescue, somehow understanding, even in his infant mind, that this green dinosaur and his colorful friends had played a crucial role in shaping his destiny. The experience had planted the first seeds of his future heroic character, though these would not fully bloom for many years to come. The flight continued peacefully until the stork finally reached his intended destination. A modest house with a welcoming front porch where the brothers' adoptive parents waited with open arms. As the gentle bird carefully placed Mario and Luigi on the doorstep, he could not have known that he was delivering two future legends into a world that would desperately need their unique brands of heroism. The brothers, reunited and safe, would spend their early years in blissful ignorance of the extraordinary adventures that awaited them, growing up as ordinary children in an ordinary world that would soon prove to be anything but ordinary. Years passed in peaceful normalcy as Mario and Luigi grew from infants into energetic young boys, their personalities already beginning to diverge in ways that would define their future relationship. Mario displayed an early tendency toward bold action and confident leadership, while Luigi showed signs of the cautious thoughtfulness that would become his trademark. Yet, despite their differences, the brothers remained inseparably close. Their bond forged in those earliest moments of separation and reunion, creating a foundation of trust that no force in any universe could break. The transition from childhood to young adulthood brought with it the discovery of their shared calling as plumbers, a profession that seemed to run in their very blood despite having no obvious hereditary connection to the trade. Working in the sprawling sewer systems beneath a city that resembled 1930s New York, the Italian brothers found purpose in maintaining the infrastructure that kept civilization flowing smoothly. Their work brought them into contact with the vast network of pipes that stretched beneath the urban landscape, a labyrinthine system that would prove to be far more significant than either brother could have imagined. Luigi's natural aptitude for the plumbing trade revealed itself through his instinctive understanding of water pressure, pipe routing, and the complex physics that governed fluid dynamics in enclosed systems, while Mario attacked problems with direct force and unwavering confidence. Luigi approached each challenge with careful analysis and methodical planning. His gentle nature made him particularly skilled at preventing damage to existing infrastructure, while his analytical mind excelled at diagnosing problems that had stumped more experienced professionals. Together, the brothers formed a perfect team that could handle any challenge the underground world could present. The sewers themselves proved to be far more dangerous than any ordinary plumbing work should have required, filled with hostile creatures that emerged from the pipes with increasing frequency and aggression. Fighter flies buzzed through the tunnels with malevolent intelligence, while sidesteppers scuttled across the wet floors with predatory purpose. Most numerous and troublesome were the shell creepers, turtle-like creatures whose hard shells provided protection from conventional weapons, while their swift movements made them difficult to catch or avoid. Luigi's first encounters with these strange beings awakened something deep within his consciousness, a recognition that the world contained mysteries far beyond ordinary human understanding. Combat in the sewers required quick thinking and precise timing, as the brothers learned to use the environment itself as their primary weapon. Luigi discovered that his superior jumping ability, first noticed during childhood games, provided a significant advantage in the confined spaces where traditional fighting techniques proved ineffective. By timing his leaps perfectly, He could land on the creature's shells and flip them over, rendering them vulnerable to a follow-up kick that would send them sliding into their companions. This technique, though simple in concept, required split-second timing and absolute confidence in one's own abilities. The partnership between Mario and Luigi reached its full potential in these underground battles, with each brother covering the other's weaknesses while amplifying their combined strengths. Mario's bold aggression created openings that Luigi could exploit with his precise jumping and careful positioning, while Luigi's strategic thinking helped Mario avoid the reckless mistakes that his courage sometimes encouraged. Their success in clearing the sewers of hostile creatures earned them a reputation among their fellow workers, though none could explain where these strange beings had come from or why they had chosen the pipe system as their invasion route. As the encounters with hostile creatures became more frequent and more dangerous, Luigi began to notice patterns in their behavior that suggested something far more organized than random infestations. The creatures seemed to emerge from specific pipes at predictable intervals, almost as if they were following some kind of schedule or responding to signals that human senses could not detect. His growing understanding of these patterns allowed the brothers to anticipate attacks and position themselves for maximum effectiveness. But it also raised disturbing questions about the true nature of the threat they faced. The source of the creatures remained a mystery that gnawed at Luigi's analytical mind as he tried to understand the underlying logic of their situation. Traditional pest control methods proved completely ineffective against beings that seemed to exist outside the normal rules of biology and physics. Their shells were harder than any natural material. Their movements defied conventional understanding of anatomy, and their apparent intelligence suggested a level of organization that ordinary animals could never achieve. Luigi's notebooks, filled with careful observations and detailed sketches, began to read more like the journal of a natural philosopher studying an entirely new form of life. Late at night, when the sewers fell quiet and the strange creatures retreated to whatever realm they called home, Luigi would sit in the workshop he shared with Mario and ponder the implications of their experiences. The pipes that had once seemed like simple conduits for water and waste now appeared to be gateways to somewhere else entirely, connecting their mundane world to realms where the impossible became routine. His growing awareness of these deeper mysteries planted the seeds of the supernatural sensitivity that would serve him so well in his future encounters with ghosts, spirits, and otherworldly beings. The brothers' success in their unusual plumbing career brought them to the attention of city officials who had grown desperate for someone capable of handling the escalating creature problems in the underground infrastructure. Luigi's detailed reports and Mario's impressive combat record marked them as uniquely qualified to tackle challenges that had defeated more traditional approaches. Yet, even as their reputation grew and their services became increasingly sought after, Luigi could not shake the feeling that their experiences in the sewers were merely preparation for something far greater and more significant that awaited them in the unknown future. The lessons learned in those dark tunnels would prove invaluable in the years to come. Though neither brother could have imagined the scope of the adventures that lay ahead, Luigi's careful observation skills his ability to find patterns in chaos, and his growing comfort with the impossible would all serve him well when confronted with the magical realms and supernatural threats that would define his later heroic career. The shy plumber, who had first descended into those sewers with nothing but a wrench, and his brother's confidence would emerge as someone fundamentally changed, ready to face whatever strange new world might reveal itself through the next mysterious pipe. The discovery that would forever alter the trajectory of Luigi's existence came not through careful planning or deliberate exploration, but through the mundane necessity of following a routine maintenance call to a particularly troublesome section of the underground pipe network. The brothers had been summoned to investigate reports of unusual pressure fluctuations and strange echoing sounds that seemed to emanate from deep within the system, complaints that had grown increasingly frequent and increasingly bizarre over the past several weeks. What they found defied every law of physics and engineering that their professional training had taught them to expect, challenging their fundamental understanding of how the world itself operated. The pipe in question appeared ordinary enough from the outside, a standard issue maintenance access that differed from thousands of others only in the peculiar warmth that radiated from its metal surface and the barely audible humming that seemed to vibrate through the very air around it. Luigi's analytical mind immediately recognized these anomalies as symptoms of something far beyond typical plumbing problems, while his growing intuition about supernatural phenomena set off alarm bells that he could not yet fully understand. Mario, ever the pragmatist, approached the situation with his characteristic directness, determined to solve the problem through simple mechanical means. As Mario reached for his wrench to begin the standard diagnostic procedures, Luigi felt an inexplicable compulsion to examine the pipe more closely, his hands drawn to its surface by forces he could neither name nor resist. The moment his gloved fingers made contact with the warm metal, the world around them began to shift and blur in ways that violated every principle of rational thought. The familiar environment of the New York sewers seemed to dissolve like paint in water, replaced by swirling colors and impossible geometries that existed beyond the boundaries of normal human perception. The transportation itself occurred in an instant that somehow contained an eternity. A moment of transition that felt both instantaneous and endlessly prolonged. Luigi experienced the sensation of falling upward while simultaneously being pulled forward through a tunnel of pure light that existed outside the normal constraints of space and time. His consciousness expanded beyond the boundaries of his physical form, touching briefly upon vast networks of interconnected worlds and realities that stretched far beyond anything his earthbound imagination had ever conceived. When the disorientation finally cleared, he found himself standing alongside Mario in a landscape that belonged more to fairy tales than to any recognizable geography. The Mushroom Kingdom revealed itself as a realm where the impossible had become routine, where sentient mushrooms walked upright and spoke with eloquent voices, where clouds drifted lazily through skies of impossible blue, while castle spires stretched toward horizons that seemed to curve in directions that geometry insisted could not exist. Luigi's first breath of Mushroom Kingdom air carried scents of unfamiliar flowers and magical energies that made his skin tingle with barely contained power. Every step upon the soft grass beneath his feet sent tiny sparks of enchantment up through his legs, awakening senses he had never known he possessed. The brothers' arrival had not gone unnoticed by the kingdom's inhabitants, who emerged from their hiding places with a mixture of hope and desperate urgency that spoke of terrible circumstances requiring immediate intervention. The Toads, as these mushroom people called themselves, approached with the cautious respect due to legendary figures whose coming had been foretold in ancient prophecies. Their leader, an elder toad whose spotted cap bore the wisdom markings of countless years, spoke in hushed tones of dark magic and evil transformations that had befallen their peaceful land. Bowser, the great Koopa sorcerer, whose name was spoken with equal measures of fear and loathing throughout the kingdom, had unleashed a curse of unprecedented scope and malevolence upon the innocent inhabitants of the realm. Through arcane rituals that drew power from the darkest corners of magical knowledge, he had transformed the kingdom's citizens into inanimate objects, stripping them of their consciousness and free will, while preserving them as grotesque trophies of his supernatural dominance. Blocks, coins, and other mundane items scattered throughout the kingdom had once been living beings with hopes, dreams, and families who mourned their terrible fate. The elder toad's voice trembled with barely contained emotion as he explained that only Princess Peach possessed the knowledge and power necessary to reverse Bowser's horrific spell. Her mastery of white magic, representing the only force capable of restoring life to those who had been transformed into objects. Yet, the princess herself had become Bowser's primary target, kidnapped and imprisoned within his imposing castle, where her magical abilities could be suppressed and contained. Without her intervention, the transformed citizens would remain trapped forever in their lifeless states, conscious but unable to move, speak, or even die. Luigi felt the weight of destiny settling upon his shoulders like a mantle he had never requested but could not refuse. His natural compassion for the suffering overwhelming any thoughts of personal safety or comfort. The analytical mind that had served him so well in diagnosing mechanical problems now turned its full attention to understanding the magical crisis that confronted them, seeking patterns and solutions in a realm where logic itself operated according to unfamiliar rules. Mario's response was characteristically direct and immediate, his protective instincts fully engaged by the scope of the injustice they had discovered. The journey toward Bowser's castle began immediately, though the brothers quickly discovered that travel in the Mushroom Kingdom required adaptation to entirely new rules of physics and possibility. The landscape itself seemed designed to test the courage and ingenuity of any who dared to traverse it, filled with hostile creatures that served Bowser's dark purposes, while obstacles and traps challenged every step of their progress. Luigi's superior jumping ability, which had proven useful in the confined spaces of the sewers, became absolutely essential in navigating the floating platforms and impossible architectural features that characterized this magical realm. Their first encounter with Goombas, the traitorous mushroom creatures who had abandoned their peaceful nature to serve Bowser's evil cause, provided Luigi with his initial lesson in magical combat, in the moral complexities that would define his heroic career. These beings retained enough of their original consciousness to make their aggression a matter of choice rather than simple animal instinct, forcing Luigi to confront the reality that some conflicts could only be resolved through decisive action. His natural reluctance to cause harm, even to those who served evil purposes, would become both a source of strength and a continuing challenge throughout his adventures. The discovery of super mushrooms marked a turning point in Luigi's understanding of his own potential for heroic action, these magical artifacts providing physical transformation that enhanced his already considerable natural abilities. The sensation of growing larger and stronger filled him with a confidence he had never experienced, while the knowledge that power-ups could provide protection against single hits from enemy attacks gave him the courage to take risks that would have seemed impossible in his normal state. Mario's immediate mastery of these transformations inspired Luigi to push beyond his natural caution and embrace the enhanced capabilities that the magical items provided. Fire flowers proved even more transformative, awakening pyrokinetic abilities that Luigi had never suspected lay dormant within his consciousness. The first time magical flames burst from his hands in response to his will, he experienced a moment of existential wonder at the realization that he was no longer bound by the limitations that had defined his previous existence. The power felt natural, despite its supernatural origin, as if his body had always possessed the capacity for magical manipulation and had simply been waiting for the proper catalyst to awaken these hidden abilities. Combat with Koopa Troopas taught Luigi the importance of strategic thinking in magical warfare. These turtle-like soldiers requiring specific techniques that combined timing, positioning, and creative use of the environment to overcome effectively. Their retractable shells provided both defensive capabilities and offensive potential when properly utilized, creating tactical puzzles that engaged Luigi's analytical mind while testing his physical coordination. The discovery that he could kick empty shells into other enemies opened up entirely new strategic possibilities that would serve him well in more complex battles to come. The castle fortresses that guarded the approaches to Bowser's main stronghold presented challenges that combined platform navigation, enemy combat, and puzzle solving in ways that required all of Luigi's developing skills working in perfect harmony. His methodical approach to exploration, inherited from his plumbing background, proved invaluable in discovering hidden passages and secret areas that contained essential power-ups and extra lives. Mario's bold leadership provided the confidence Luigi needed to attempt seemingly impossible jumps and risky maneuvers, while Luigi's careful observation often revealed safer alternative routes that Mario's direct approach might have overlooked. The progressive difficulty of these preliminary castles served as a training ground that prepared Luigi for the ultimate confrontation with Bowser himself each fortress teaching specific skills and tactics that would prove essential in the final battle. His encounters with false Bowsers, mechanical imposters designed to discourage intruders and protect the real villain's location, provided valuable combat experience while revealing the extent of Bowser's magical knowledge and technological capabilities. The revelation that each false Bowser was actually a transformed citizen of the kingdom added another layer of moral complexity to conflicts that Luigi had initially viewed in simple terms of good versus evil. The approach to Bowser's true stronghold filled Luigi with a mixture of terror and determination that would become familiar sensations throughout his heroic career. The castle itself loomed against the darkened sky like a monument to evil ambition. Its twisted architecture designed to strike fear into the hearts of any who dared to challenge its master's authority. Yet, Luigi pressed forward despite his natural timidity, driven by the knowledge that countless innocent lives depended upon his courage and the growing realization that he possessed capabilities far beyond those of an ordinary plumber. The final confrontation with Bowser provided Luigi with his first taste of truly epic combat, facing an opponent whose magical powers and physical prowess far exceeded anything he had previously encountered. The Koopa King's fire breath and crushing weight required split-second timing and perfect positioning to avoid, while his magical abilities created hazards that existed beyond the normal rules of physics. Luigi's victory came not through overwhelming force, but through the careful application of the skills he had developed throughout their journey, using Bowser's own strength against him, while exploiting the tactical advantages provided by the castle's architecture. The rescue of Princess Peach marked the culmination of Luigi's first great heroic adventure. Though the gentle wisdom in her eyes suggested that she had always known of his potential for greatness, her gratitude was sincere and profound, recognizing not just the courage required to attempt such a rescue, but the growth and transformation that Luigi had undergone during their quest. The reversal of Bowser's curse, accomplished through Princess Peach's mastery of restorative magic, provided Luigi with his first glimpse of the true scope of white magic's healing potential. As the transformed citizens of the Mushroom Kingdom returned to their normal forms, filling the air with joyous celebrations and tearful reunions, Luigi began to understand that his journey from ordinary plumber to heroic adventurer represented more than simple career change. The magical energies that flowed through the kingdom had awakened dormant potentials within his consciousness, creating possibilities for growth and development that extended far beyond anything his previous life had offered. Princess Peach's assignment of additional quests confirmed that his heroic career had only just begun, setting the stage for adventures that would challenge every aspect of his evolving identity. The dream that would forever change Luigi's understanding of reality itself began on a peaceful evening when he and Mario had decided to enjoy a simple picnic near a cave that neither brother had previously noticed during their explorations of the Mushroom Kingdom's outer territories. The location possessed an otherworldly tranquility that seemed to exist outside the normal flow of time, with gentle breezes carrying scents of flowers that bloomed in no earthly garden, and shadows that fell in patterns that defied the position of the sun above. Luigi felt drawn to this mysterious place by instincts he could not name. His growing sensitivity to supernatural phenomena, recognizing something significant about the cave's dark entrance. Mario's description of his dream captivated Luigi with its vivid detail and unsettling familiarity. Speaking of a world beyond the physical realm where the laws of nature operated according to entirely different principles. In this dream landscape, vegetables served as weapons against dark forces, while floating through the air became as natural as walking on solid ground, and mysterious doorways led to realms that existed beyond the boundaries of normal imagination. Luigi listened with growing amazement as Mario recounted encounters with creatures that seemed to exist halfway between reality and nightmare. Battles fought with turnips and radishes against enemies that dissolved into shadow when defeated. When Princess Peach and Toad arrived at their picnic site, both claiming to have experienced identical dreams during the previous night, Luigi felt the first stirrings of understanding that they were confronting something far beyond coincidence or simple shared imagination. The convergence of four separate individuals experiencing the same detailed visions suggested forces at work that transcended the normal boundaries between sleeping and waking consciousness. Peach's knowledge of ancient magical traditions provided context for their shared experience, explaining that certain powerful magical locations could broadcast visions across multiple minds simultaneously. The cave itself seemed to pulse with barely contained energy as the four companions approached its entrance, the darkness within somehow managing to convey both invitation and warning in equal measure. Luigi's analytical mind cataloged the subtle details that marked this as no ordinary geological formation, from the perfectly smooth walls that showed no evidence of natural erosion to the way sounds seemed to echo in patterns that suggested vast spaces hidden beyond the visible entrance. The air that flowed from the cave's depths carried temperatures that shifted moment by moment, sometimes cool as mountain springs and sometimes warm as summer afternoons. The stairway that descended into the cave's heart defied architectural logic with its impossible angles and dimensions that seemed to shift depending upon the viewer's perspective. Luigi's careful footsteps echoed in harmonies that suggested the stone itself possessed musical properties, while mysterious lights flickered in the walls without any visible source or fuel. Each step downward brought with it a growing sense of transition, as if they were descending not merely through physical space but through layers of reality itself, toward something that existed beyond the normal constraints of the material world. The door that awaited them at the stairway's end stood as a masterwork of otherworldly craftsmanship, its surface decorated with symbols that seemed to shift and change even as Luigi studied them intently. The metal from which it had been forged possessed properties that no earthly metallurgy could explain, radiating warmth while somehow remaining cool to the touch, and reflecting light in ways that created impossible colors in the surrounding shadows. When Luigi's hand finally touched the ornate handle, he felt a surge of energy that seemed to connect him directly to the dream world that had called to them all. The opening of the door revealed not another chamber, but a vista that belonged to no earthly geography. A landscape where impossible colors painted skies that stretched in directions that geometry insisted could not exist. Subcon spread before them like a living illustration from the deepest reaches of the collective unconscious, where floating platforms drifted through space without support, while waterfalls flowed upward toward clouds that rained music instead of water. Luigi's first breath of Subcon's atmosphere filled his lungs with possibilities that made his consciousness expand beyond its normal boundaries. The fall into Subcon occurred not as a terrifying plunge, but as a gentle transition between states of being, Luigi's body adapting to the dream world's physics with surprising ease, as gravity became optional and movement responded to will rather than muscle. The sensation of floating felt as natural as walking had in the physical realm, while his ability to change direction mid-flight opened up three-dimensional thinking that his earthbound experience had never required. Mario, Peach, and Toad adapted to these new possibilities with varying degrees of success, each discovering that their personalities influenced how effectively they could navigate Subcon's reality. The inhabitants of Subcon emerged from hiding with gratitude and desperate hope written across their features. These beings who existed in a state between sleeping and waking, having endured generations of oppression under Wart's tyrannical rule. Their leader, an ancient creature whose form shifted constantly between different states of dream logic, explained that Wart had invaded their peaceful realm with an army of nightmares and mechanical horrors that sought to transform their world of limitless possibility into a rigid landscape of fear and control. The Subcons had fought bravely, but found themselves overwhelmed by enemies that could manipulate the very foundations of dream reality. Luigi's unique talents found perfect expression in Subcon's environment, where his superior jumping ability allowed him to navigate floating platforms with unprecedented grace and precision. The dreamscape rewarded careful thinking and creative problem-solving over brute force, playing to strengths that had sometimes been overshadowed by Mario's more direct approach in previous adventures. His analytical mind discovered patterns in Subcon's geography that revealed hidden passages and secret areas containing essential power-ups and strategic advantages that would prove crucial in their campaign against Wart's forces. The vegetables that served as weapons in Subcon's reality possessed properties that defied all earthly understanding of plant biology, each variety offering different tactical advantages that required Luigi to develop entirely new combat techniques. Turnips provided reliable projectiles that could be pulled from the ground and thrown with devastating accuracy, while radishes offered explosive potential that could clear multiple enemies simultaneously. The discovery that different vegetables grew in different regions of Subcon added strategic depth to their exploration, requiring careful planning to ensure adequate supplies for the battles ahead. Luigi's encounters with the 8-bits, Wart's mechanical servants that existed as living embodiments of rigid digital logic, within the fluid reality of the dream world taught him valuable lessons about adapting to enemies that operated according to completely different rules than organic opponents. These artificial beings moved in predictable patterns that could be analyzed and exploited, but their mechanical nature made them immune to certain types of attacks, while vulnerable to others. The contrast between the 8-bit's inflexible programming and Subcon's infinite possibility highlighted the philosophical nature of their conflict. The journey through Subcon's various regions provided Luigi with his first extended experience as a leader rather than a follower. His thoughtful approach to navigation and strategy earning the respect and trust of his companions. Princess Peach's royal authority and Mario's natural charisma remained important assets, but Luigi's growing confidence in his own abilities allowed him to contribute tactical insights and creative solutions that proved essential to their success. Toad's enthusiastic support helped reinforce Luigi's developing self-assurance, while providing practical assistance in implementing his strategic plans. The confrontation with Wart himself took place in a throne room that existed at the intersection of multiple dream realities, a space where the tyrant's will had imposed a harsh, geometric order upon Subcon's naturally flowing architecture. The battle required not just physical courage, but psychological resilience, as Wart attempted to trap his opponents within nightmare scenarios designed to exploit their deepest fears and insecurities. Luigi's natural timidity became a paradoxical advantage in this environment. His familiarity with fear, allowing him to recognize and resist Wart's psychological attacks. Victory over Wart came through the collective effort of all 4 heroes working in perfect harmony, each contributing their unique strengths to overcome an enemy that had seemed invincible through individual effort. Luigi's precise aim with dream vegetables provided the crucial hits that disrupted Wart's concentration, while his strategic positioning ensured that the tyrant could not escape or call upon his mechanical reinforcements. The moment of Wart's defeat released a wave of transformative energy that began restoring Subcon to its natural state of limitless creative potential. The liberation of Subcon marked a turning point in Luigi's heroic development, as he experienced, for the first time, the profound satisfaction of rescuing an entire world from oppression. The grateful celebrations of the Subcons provided him with recognition that was entirely his own, rather than reflected glory from Mario's achievements, while their gifts of dream-touched artifacts would serve as permanent reminders of his growing independence as a hero. The experience had taught him that courage could take many forms, and that his particular blend of caution and analytical thinking represented a valid approach to heroic action. The return journey to the physical world brought with it a sense of completion and transformation that Luigi recognized as fundamentally important to his ongoing development. Subcon had provided him with a realm where his natural abilities could flourish without being overshadowed by Mario's more conventional heroism, while the dream world's emphasis on creativity and imagination had awakened aspects of his personality that had previously remained dormant. The shared experience had also strengthened his bonds with Princess Peach and Toad, creating relationships based on mutual respect rather than simple friendship. The celebration with the subcons continued long after Wart's defeat, taking the form of a festival that existed partially in the dream realm and partially in waking reality, creating a bridge between the two states of consciousness that allowed the heroes to gradually readjust to normal physics. Luigi found himself reluctant to leave this world where he had discovered new aspects of his own potential, though he understood that his destiny lay in protecting multiple realms rather than remaining in any single one. The gifts bestowed upon him by the grateful subcons included not just material artifacts, but enhanced sensitivity to dream states and unconscious communication that would serve him well in future supernatural encounters. The final departure from subcon occurred as gently as their original arrival, the doorway between worlds, closing not with finality, but with the promise that they could return if circumstances ever required their intervention once again. Luigi carried with him memories of floating through impossible skies and battling enemies with vegetables pulled from dream gardens, experiences that had expanded his understanding of what heroism could mean and what possibilities existed beyond the constraints of ordinary reality. The adventure had proven that he possessed the capacity for independent leadership, while reinforcing the value of cooperation and mutual support in achieving seemingly impossible goals. The return to the Mushroom Kingdom brought with it an unexpected period of tranquility that allowed Luigi to process the transformative experiences he had undergone while adapting to the knowledge that his heroic calling extended far beyond the borders of any single realm. This peaceful interlude proved brief, however, as Princess Peach arrived at their residence with news that would test every skill Luigi had developed and challenge his growing confidence in ways that even subcon's dream logic had not required. Her expression carried the weight of genuine concern mixed with the grim determination of a ruler who understood that the safety of her people depended upon swift and decisive action. The crisis that had befallen the broader mushroom world revealed the true scope of Bowser's ambitions, extending far beyond the simple kidnapping and magical transformations that had characterized his previous schemes. The Koopa King had dispatched his 7 adopted children, the notorious Koopalings, on a coordinated campaign of conquest that targeted the independent kingdoms scattered across the continental landmass. Each Koopaling had been assigned a specific realm to conquer, their individual personalities and magical specialties perfectly matched to the weaknesses of their intended victims. Princess Peach's intelligence network had provided detailed reports of the systematic nature of the invasion, with each Koopaling following a similar pattern of attack that spoke to careful planning and strategic coordination. The rulers of each targeted kingdom had been transformed into various creatures through stolen magic wands, artifacts of immense power that had been entrusted to their care for generations. Without their true forms and the authority that came with them, these monarchs could not rally their subjects or coordinate resistance efforts, leaving their realms vulnerable to complete occupation. Luigi's analytical mind immediately grasped the strategic implications of Bowser's new approach, recognizing that the Koopa King had learned from his previous defeats and adapted his tactics accordingly. Rather than concentrating his forces in a single location where they could be confronted directly, he had dispersed his power across multiple fronts, while creating a situation that would force the heroes to divide their own efforts. The simultaneous nature of the attacks meant that Luigi and Mario would need to work more independently than ever before, each taking responsibility for liberating specific kingdoms while trusting in their shared training and mutual support. The journey to the first conquered kingdom provided Luigi with his initial glimpse of the Koopalings' individual approaches to warfare and occupation, each displaying tactical preferences that reflected their unique personalities while maintaining the overall strategic framework of their father's plan. Larry Koopa had transformed his assigned kingdom's ruler into a helpless creature, while establishing a network of fortified positions that controlled all major transportation routes. His youth had led him to underestimate the importance of maintaining popular support, creating opportunities for resistance that a more experienced commander might have eliminated. Luigi's confrontation with Larry marked his first solo battle against a member of Bowser's immediate family, requiring him to adapt his combat techniques to face an opponent who possessed both magical abilities and tactical training far beyond anything he had previously encountered. The Koopalings' shell-spinning attacks created whirlwinds of destruction that could only be avoided through precise timing and careful positioning, while his command of fire magic added an additional layer of danger to their enclosed battle arena. Victory came through Luigi's patient observation of attack patterns, combined with his superior jumping ability to strike when Larry's aggressive tactics left him temporarily vulnerable. The recovery of the first magic wand provided Luigi with direct experience in handling artifacts of tremendous magical power, the ancient implement responding to his touch with energies that seemed to recognize his heroic intentions, while testing his worthiness to wield such forces. The restoration of the transformed ruler occurred through a process that Luigi could observe but not fully understand. Magical energies flowing through patterns that suggested complex relationships between consciousness, physical form, and mystical authority. The grateful monarch's blessing added legitimacy to Luigi's mission while providing valuable intelligence about the remaining Koopalings' positions and capabilities. Each subsequent kingdom presented unique challenges that forced Luigi to develop new tactical approaches while building upon the skills he had acquired through previous adventures. Morton Koopa Jr.'s reliance on brute force and overwhelming firepower created battles that tested Luigi's agility and endurance, requiring him to maintain perfect mobility while seeking opportunities to exploit his opponent's lack of finesse. Wendy O. Koopa's emphasis on precision and magical manipulation demanded careful analysis of her attack patterns, while avoiding the psychological warfare she employed to destabilize her opponent's confidence. Iggy Koopa's scientific approach to conquest had resulted in mechanical fortifications and technological traps that challenged Luigi's problem-solving abilities in ways that pure combat skills could not address. The Mad Koopaling's inventions operated according to principles that blended magic and engineering in unprecedented combinations, creating puzzles that required both analytical thinking and intuitive understanding of supernatural forces. Luigi's plumbing background proved unexpectedly valuable in comprehending the flow dynamics and pressure systems that governed many of Iggy's contraptions. Roy Koopa's militaristic organization had transformed his conquered kingdom into a regimented police state, where every citizen lived under constant surveillance and strict behavioral codes. The liberation of this realm required not just defeating Roy in combat, but dismantling the administrative structure he had created while inspiring the oppressed population to reclaim their freedom. Luigi's natural empathy and genuine concern for innocent suffering proved as important as his magical abilities in convincing the people that resistance was both possible and worthwhile. Lemmy Koopa's circus-themed occupation had created a surreal landscape where entertainment and oppression blended in disturbing ways. The kingdom's citizens, forced to participate in performances that celebrated their own subjugation. The youngest Koopaling's childlike enthusiasm for his role masked a calculating intelligence that had identified each citizen's deepest fears and desires. Luigi's victory required not just physical courage, but psychological resilience. As he navigated a realm where reality itself had been transformed into a twisted carnival, Ludwig von Koopa represented the most formidable challenge among the Koopalings. His combination of magical mastery, tactical brilliance, and classical education, creating an opponent who could match Luigi in both intellectual and physical combat. Their confrontation took place within a fortress that existed as much as a philosophical statement as a military installation. Every architectural detail designed to reflect Ludwig's theories about the relationship between order, beauty, and power. The battle itself became a test of competing worldviews as much as magical abilities. The pattern of liberation that emerged through Luigi's campaign against the Koopalings revealed important truths about the nature of heroism and the responsibilities that came with power. Each victory required not just the defeat of the occupying force, but the careful restoration of legitimate authority, while ensuring that the liberated population could defend itself against future threats. Luigi's growing reputation as a liberator, rather than merely a combatant, reflected his evolution from reactive hero to proactive protector of justice and freedom. The coordination between Luigi and Mario throughout this extended campaign demonstrated the maturity of their partnership, each brother trusting the other to handle assigned responsibilities, while maintaining communication and mutual support across vast distances. Their individual approaches to liberation complemented each other perfectly. Mario's direct, confrontational style, balancing Luigi's more methodical and analytical methods. The success of their parallel campaigns proved that they had evolved beyond simple dependency into true collaborative heroism. The systematic recovery of all 7 magic wands created a moment of strategic triumph that seemed to herald the end of Bowser's latest scheme, the restoration of legitimate rulers across the mushroom world, appearing to have undone the damage caused by the Koopalings' invasion. Luigi's personal satisfaction at having successfully completed his most complex mission to date was tempered by his growing understanding that Bowser's capacity for adaptation meant that their ultimate confrontation remained inevitable. The Koopa King's willingness to sacrifice his own adopted children's freedom to achieve his strategic objectives revealed a level of cold calculation that exceeded his previous schemes. Bowser's revelation that he had kidnapped Princess Peach during the hero's absence confirmed Luigi's suspicions that the entire Koopaling campaign had been an elaborate diversion designed to separate the princess from her protectors. The Koopa King's message carried tones of mockery and disdain that spoke to his confidence in the superiority of his new approach to conquest, while his choice of timing demonstrated strategic patience that had not characterized his earlier attempts at domination. The race to his castle became not just a rescue mission, but a test of whether Luigi's growth as an independent hero could match the escalating sophistication of his opponents. The final approach to Bowser's stronghold revealed modifications and improvements that reflected the Koopa King's analysis of his previous defeats. The fortress, now designed specifically to counter the tactics that had proven successful in earlier confrontations. Luigi's infiltration required creative problem-solving and tactical flexibility, as familiar approaches proved ineffective against Bowser's enhanced defenses. The confrontation itself demonstrated how both hero and villain had evolved through their ongoing conflict, each bringing new capabilities and strategies to their eternal struggle. Princess Peach's playful revelation that the real princess was in another castle provided a moment of levity that perfectly captured the surreal nature of their ongoing adventures, while highlighting the deep bonds of friendship and trust that had developed between the heroes. Her joke acknowledged Luigi's growth and accomplishments while maintaining the spirit of fun and adventure that had always characterized their relationship, despite the serious nature of their various crises. The successful completion of the Koopaling campaign had proven Luigi's worthiness as an independent hero, while setting the stage for even greater challenges ahead. The mysterious mansion contest that would forever alter Luigi's understanding of his own heroic potential arrived through channels so obscure that no investigation could determine its true origins or the identity of those responsible for its creation. Luigi discovered his supposed victory through official documentation that appeared in his mailbox without explanation, elegant papers bearing seals and signatures that seemed authentic despite his complete certainty that he had never entered any such competition. The prize itself defied logical explanation. A fully furnished mansion located in the remote Boo Woods, a region whose very name suggested supernatural associations that should have served as warning to any sensible individual. The decision to investigate this unexpected windfall arose from Luigi's natural curiosity and his growing confidence in his ability to handle unusual situations, though nothing in his previous adventures had prepared him for the psychological challenges that awaited him in the mansion's shadowy corridors. Mario's absence on a separate mission meant that Luigi would face this mystery alone, a prospect that filled him with equal measures of excitement and trepidation as he contemplated his first truly solo adventure. The journey to Boo Woods took him through landscapes that grew progressively more unsettling, with twisted trees and unnatural shadows that seemed to watch his passage with malevolent interest. The mansion itself exceeded every expectation of Gothic architecture that Luigi's imagination had constructed during his journey. Its towering spires and ornate facades, creating a structure that seemed to exist partially outside the normal rules of physics and geometry. The building appeared to shift and change depending upon the angle from which it was viewed, windows appearing and disappearing, while architectural details rearranged themselves according to some incomprehensible logic. The very air around the mansion felt thick with supernatural energy that made Luigi's skin tingle with awareness of forces beyond human understanding. Luigi's first encounter with the mansion's ghostly inhabitants occurred before he had even crossed the threshold, a spectral entity materializing from the shadows with malevolent intent written across its translucent features. The attack came without warning or provocation, the ghost's ethereal claws passing through Luigi's physical defenses as if they offered no protection whatsoever. His natural tendency toward panic nearly overwhelmed his capacity for rational thought until the unexpected arrival of Professor Elvin Gadd, whose mastery of supernatural science provided both rescue and explanation for the inexplicable situation. Professor E. Gadd's laboratory represented a fascinating blend of cutting-edge technology and arcane research that immediately captured Luigi's analytical attention, revealing scientific approaches to supernatural phenomena that his previous adventures had never explored. The elderly professor's explanation of ghost behavior and spectral manifestation provided Luigi with his first systematic understanding of the forces he would need to confront, while the Poltergust 3000 offered technological solutions to problems that had previously seemed beyond human capability. The device itself represented a marvel of engineering that somehow translated electromagnetic principles into tools capable of affecting ectoplasmic entities. The Game Boy Horror proved equally valuable as a communication device and analytical instrument. Its sensors, capable of detecting supernatural phenomena while maintaining contact with Professor E. Gadd throughout Luigi's exploration of the mansion's mysteries. The device's ability to reveal hidden details about the mansion's construction and history provided Luigi with strategic advantages that would prove essential in navigating the complex relationships between the building's spectral inhabitants. The combination of technological assistance and Luigi's natural observational skills created a synergy that transformed him from vulnerable intruder into capable ghost hunter. Professor E. Gadd's revelation that Mario had been trapped within a painting by the mansion's primary antagonist provided Luigi with the personal motivation necessary to overcome his natural fear of supernatural encounters. The knowledge that his brother's very existence depended upon his success transformed what might have been a simple investigation into a rescue mission of the utmost urgency. The professor's explanation of King Boo's power to manipulate reality through portrait magic revealed the true scope of the threat Luigi faced, while highlighting the unique nature of his brother's imprisonment. The mansion's room-by-room exploration became a methodical campaign that combined Luigi's analytical approach to problem-solving with the supernatural combat techniques he learned through necessity practice. Each chamber presented unique challenges that required different strategies, from simple portrait ghosts who could be captured through direct application of the Poltergust 3000, to complex puzzle rooms that demanded careful observation and creative thinking. Luigi's growing proficiency with his ghost hunting equipment paralleled his increasing confidence in navigating supernatural environments that would have terrified him during his earlier adventures. The portrait ghosts represented the mansion's most significant inhabitants, former residents whose personalities and life stories had become permanently embedded in the building's supernatural ecosystem through King Boo's dark magic. Luigi's encounters with these entities revealed the tragic nature of their existence, while providing glimpses into the mansion's history and the events that had led to its current state. Each ghost required a different approach to capture their individual quirks and obsessions, creating puzzles that engaged Luigi's empathy as much as his tactical skills. The baby ghost in the nursery presented Luigi with his first moral dilemma regarding the nature of his mission, the infant spirit's obvious distress, raising questions about whether all ghosts deserved the same treatment regardless of their threat level. Luigi's gentle approach to this encounter revealed aspects of his character that had remained hidden during his previous adventures, his natural compassion extending even to supernatural entities that existed outside normal moral frameworks. The successful resolution of this situation through patience and understanding, rather than force established precedents that would guide his interactions with other tragic spirits. Luigi's investigation of the mansion's various themed rooms provided insights into the building's original purpose and the personalities of its former inhabitants, each space reflecting different aspects of human experience and desire. The library revealed scholarly pursuits that had consumed generations of the mansion's residents, while the conservatory spoke to artistic ambitions that had transcended death itself. Luigi's growing appreciation for the mansion's former glory made the tragedy of its current state more poignant, while strengthening his resolve to restore some measure of peace to its tormented inhabitants. The kitchen encounters tested Luigi's courage against more aggressive spirits whose attachment to their former lives had created violent tendencies that could not be resolved through gentle persuasion. These battles required quick reflexes and strategic use of the mansion's architecture to create opportunities for successful captures while avoiding damage from supernatural attacks that could affect both physical and spiritual well-being. Luigi's growing mastery of combat techniques specific to ghost hunting marked his evolution from frightened amateur to competent supernatural investigator. Luigi's discovery of the mansion's secret passages and hidden areas revealed the building's true complexity, while providing access to essential power-ups and strategic advantages that would prove crucial in his final confrontation with King Boo. The Game Boy Horror's ability to reveal concealed doors and detect supernatural anomalies transformed what might have been impossible navigation challenges into manageable exploration tasks. Luigi's methodical approach to mapping the mansion's layout reflected his plumbing background, while demonstrating how his analytical skills had adapted to supernatural investigation. The basement areas contained the mansion's darkest secrets and most dangerous entities, including the portal machinery that King Boo had used to create his painting prison, and the ritual chambers where the building's supernatural properties had been originally established. Luigi's exploration of these forbidden areas required maximum courage and careful application of everything he had learned about ghost behavior and supernatural combat. The oppressive atmosphere of the basement levels tested his psychological resilience, while revealing the true scope of King Boo's power and malevolent intentions. The revelation that the entire mansion had been constructed specifically to trap Luigi and Mario represented a level of premeditation and strategic thinking that exceeded anything Luigi had previously encountered in his heroic career. King Boo's elaborate scheme demonstrated the Ghost Monarch's intelligence and patience, while highlighting the personal nature of his vendetta against the brothers who had disrupted his supernatural realm. The false contest and carefully orchestrated circumstances that had led Luigi to the mansion revealed depths of planning that spoke to obsession as much as strategic thinking. King Boo's final lair existed within the painting dimension itself, a realm where the normal rules of physics yielded to the Ghost Monarch's will, and where Luigi would need to rely entirely upon his own abilities without technological assistance from the Poltergust 3000. The battle took place across multiple levels of reality, as King Boo manipulated the painting's internal structure to create ever-changing battle conditions that tested every aspect of Luigi's heroic development. The confrontation required not just courage and skill, but the wisdom to recognize when strategic retreat was more valuable than direct confrontation. The climactic moment when Luigi removed King Boo's Bowser suit disguise revealed the true nature of the Ghost Monarch, while providing the opportunity for final victory through clever application of the Poltergust 3000's enhanced capabilities. Luigi's triumph came through careful observation of his opponent's weaknesses rather than overwhelming force, demonstrating how his analytical approach to problem-solving had become his greatest strength as a hero. The successful capture of King Boo and escape from the collapsing painting dimension marked the culmination of Luigi's most challenging solo adventure to date. Professor E. Gadd's use of the ghost portrificationizer to free Mario from his painting prison provided Luigi with a joyful reunion that had motivated his entire dangerous journey through the mansion's supernatural challenges. The reversal process revealed the professor's mastery of technologies that bridged the gap between scientific method and supernatural phenomena, while demonstrating the complex relationship between consciousness, physical form, and spiritual essence. Mario's gratitude and amazement at his brother's heroic accomplishments confirmed Luigi's growth from dependent sidekick to capable independent hero. The construction of Luigi's new house, using the treasure he had collected throughout his mansion, adventure provided tangible proof of his success, while offering him a home that reflected his own preferences and personality, rather than shared living arrangements. Professor E. Gadd's pride in Luigi's accomplishments extended beyond simple congratulation to genuine recognition of the personal transformation that had occurred during his supernatural education. The completed house stood as a monument to Luigi's courage and growing confidence in his own heroic capabilities, marking the end of one chapter in his development, while preparing him for whatever challenges might await in the future. The peaceful interlude that followed Luigi's triumphant return from the haunted mansion proved shorter than he had hoped, as new crises emerged that would test his heroic abilities in unexpected directions, while demonstrating the growing scope of his reputation throughout the magical realms. The call for assistance came not from the familiar territories of the Mushroom Kingdom, but from Princess Peach herself, though the circumstances of her message revealed that she too had become a victim of forces beyond her immediate control. The situation on Vibe Island represented a complete reversal of their usual dynamic, with Princess Peach assuming the role of active rescuer, while Luigi found himself among those requiring salvation. Bowser's latest scheme had achieved a level of audacious success that exceeded his previous accomplishments, the Koopa King having managed to capture not only Luigi and Mario, but also the loyal Toads, who served as the Mushroom Kingdom's most trusted guardians and administrators. The kidnapping operation had been executed with precision timing that suggested careful observation of the heroes' routines and habits, striking at a moment when their defenses were lowest and their attention focused elsewhere. Luigi's capture occurred while he was engaged in routine activities that should have posed no danger, highlighting Bowser's growing sophistication in planning and executing complex operations. The prison constructed to hold the captured heroes represented Bowser's evolution as a strategist, designed specifically to neutralize the unique abilities that had allowed previous escapes from his custody. Luigi found himself confined alongside his brother and their Toad companions in a facility that combined magical barriers with technological security measures, creating a containment system that seemed impossible to breach through conventional means. The psychological impact of captivity weighed heavily upon Luigi's naturally anxious temperament, though his recent experiences with supernatural threats had provided him with mental resilience that proved essential in maintaining hope. Army Hammer Bro's role as Chief Warden revealed Bowser's delegation of authority to trusted lieutenants whose specialized skills complemented the Koopa King's strategic planning, the heavily armored Koopa demonstrating tactical competence that exceeded the simple brutality typically associated with Bowser's minions. The prison's security protocols had been designed to counter specific escape methods that the heroes had employed in previous captivities, while the guards' training reflected detailed knowledge of Luigi's jumping abilities and Mario's combat techniques. The systematic approach to containing heroic prisoners spoke to lessons learned from previous failures. Princess Peach's discovery of the kidnapping came through her network of loyal subjects who had witnessed the capture operation and managed to escape Bowser's sweeping arrests of potential informants. The princess's immediate decision to mount a rescue operation demonstrated her evolution from protected monarch to active defender of justice, while her choice to undertake the mission personally rather than delegating it to others revealed the depth of her commitment to those who had served her so faithfully. The urgency of the situation left no time for careful planning or extensive preparation, requiring immediate action based on limited intelligence. Toadsworth's provision of Perry, the mysterious umbrella with consciousness and magical abilities, marked the beginning of Princess Peach's transformation from diplomatic ruler to combat-capable adventurer. The sentient parasol possessed powers that complemented the princess's natural abilities, while providing tactical advantages that would prove essential in navigating Vibe Island's emotional hazards and hostile environment. Perry's personality emerged gradually throughout their partnership, revealing a dedicated guardian whose loyalty matched his effectiveness as both weapon and tool. Vibe Island itself presented unique challenges that went beyond simple platform navigation or enemy combat, the landmass having been saturated with emotional energies that affected the psychological state of all living beings within its boundaries. The island's supernatural atmosphere created mood swings and emotional extremes that could incapacitate unprepared visitors, while enhancing the abilities of those who learned to harness these forces constructively. Princess Peach's natural, emotional intelligence provided her with advantages in this environment that pure physical prowess could not match. The toads scattered across Vibe Island had been affected by the emotional energies in ways that reflected their individual personalities and psychological predispositions, some becoming hyperactively aggressive, while others fell into states of profound melancholy that rendered them unable to function effectively. Princess Peach's rescue efforts required not just locating these displaced subjects, but understanding their altered emotional states and providing appropriate assistance to restore their normal psychological balance. The diversity of emotional effects demonstrated the island's complex, supernatural ecosystem. Luigi's imprisonment in the floating bubble created by Kamek represented a particularly sophisticated form of magical containment that neutralized his mobility while keeping him visible as both hostage and psychological weapon against potential rescuers. The magical sphere's properties prevented physical escape while maintaining perfect transparency that allowed Luigi to observe the rescue efforts without being able to participate or communicate effectively. The psychological torture of helpless observation added cruelty to Kamek's tactical planning that revealed the Magic Koopa's understanding of heroic psychology. The journey through Giddy Sky to reach Luigi's prison required Princess Peach to master aerial navigation techniques while combating enemies whose emotional states had been amplified by the island's supernatural atmosphere. The cloud-based platforms and atmospheric currents created three-dimensional puzzle elements that demanded creative problem-solving and precise timing to traverse successfully. Perry's ability to function as both parachute and propulsion system proved essential in maintaining mobility through the ethereal environment. Princess Peach's successful rescue of Luigi from his magical prison demonstrated her growing mastery of the umbrella-based combat techniques that Perry had taught her. The sentient parasol's powers, proving capable of disrupting even sophisticated magical containment systems. Luigi's gratitude extended beyond simple relief at his liberation to genuine admiration for the princess's heroic transformation and tactical competence. The rescue marked a significant moment in their relationship, as Princess Peach proved herself capable of independent heroic action, rather than merely providing support for others' adventures. The approach to Bowser's villa required coordinated teamwork between Princess Peach, Perry, and the newly liberated Luigi, their combined abilities creating tactical options that none possessed individually. Luigi's superior jumping skills provided access to elevated positions, while Princess Peach's emotional manipulation abilities proved effective against guards whose psychological states had been destabilized by the island's atmospheric effects. The villa itself represented Bowser's most sophisticated stronghold to date, combining architectural grandeur with military functionality. The confrontation with Army Hammer Bro tested Princess Peach's combat abilities against an opponent whose specialized training and magical weaponry created significant challenges for her relatively inexperienced fighting skills. The heavily armored Koopa's tactical knowledge allowed him to counter many of Parry's techniques, while his enhanced physical capabilities posed threats that required careful positioning and timing to overcome. Luigi's support proved crucial in creating opportunities for Princess Peach to exploit, while maintaining the pressure necessary to prevent Army Hammer Bro from calling for reinforcements. Bowser's final battle within his villa demonstrated his adaptation to Princess Peach's rescue mission, the Koopa King having prepared contingencies that accounted for her emotional manipulation abilities while maintaining the tactical advantages provided by his familiar environment. The combat required Princess Peach to utilize every technique she had learned throughout her journey across Vibe Island, while coordinating with Luigi's complementary abilities to create openings in Bowser's defenses. Parry's full combat potential emerged during this climactic encounter, revealing powers that had remained hidden throughout their previous adventures. The liberation of Mario from his own magical prison marked the successful completion of Princess Peach's rescue mission, while demonstrating the effectiveness of her transformation from protected monarch to capable adventurer. Mario's amazement at his brother's growing confidence and the princess's heroic competence reflected the significant character development that had occurred during his captivity. The reunion of all three heroes created a moment of triumph that validated the risks and sacrifices that had been necessary to achieve their freedom. The departure from Vibe Island carried symbolic significance beyond the simple completion of their rescue mission, representing Princess Peach's permanent evolution into an active participant in heroic adventures, rather than merely a protected beneficiary of others' courage. Luigi's role in the escape demonstrated his continued growth as an independent hero, while highlighting the value of cooperation and mutual support in achieving seemingly impossible objectives. Parry's decision to remain with Princess Peach established a new partnership that would enhance her capabilities in future adventures. The return journey to the Mushroom Kingdom provided opportunities for reflection on the lessons learned during their Vibe Island adventure, particularly the importance of emotional resilience and psychological preparation in confronting supernatural threats. Luigi's experience as a prisoner had taught him valuable lessons about maintaining hope and mental strength during periods of helplessness, while Princess Peach's successful rescue mission had proven her capability for independent, heroic action. The adventure had strengthened the bonds between all participants, while demonstrating new possibilities for collaborative heroism. The celebration that welcomed their return to the Mushroom Kingdom reflected the genuine relief and admiration of subjects who had feared for their beloved princess's safety, while recognizing her transformation into a true hero in her. own right. Luigi's role in the adventure earned him recognition not as a rescued victim, but as a capable partner whose contributions had been essential to their success. The experience had expanded the definition of heroism within their group, while establishing precedents for future collaborative adventures that would utilize each member's unique strengths and capabilities. The evolution of Luigi's identity from simple palette swap to distinct individual represented one of the most significant transformations in the history of heroic development, a journey that transcended mere cosmetic differences to encompass fundamental changes in personality, capability, and philosophical approach to adventure. The early years of his heroic career had been marked by obvious similarities to Mario that extended beyond their shared plumbing background to include matching physical proportions and identical movement patterns. This period of seeming redundancy masked the gradual emergence of characteristics that would eventually distinguish Luigi as a unique and valuable hero in his own right. The first hints of Luigi's distinctive personality emerged through subtle behavioral differences that observers initially dismissed as minor variations rather than signs of developing individuality. His tendency toward careful observation before action contrasted with Mario's immediate response to challenges, while his natural empathy for suffering creatures revealed depths of compassion that exceeded simple heroic duty. These early traits would eventually blossom into the defining characteristics that made Luigi an irreplaceable member of any heroic team, though their significance remained unrecognized during his formative adventures. Luigi's superior jumping ability represented the most obvious physical distinction that set him apart from his more famous brother. This natural talent, providing tactical advantages that proved essential in navigating the increasingly complex architectural challenges presented by their various adversaries. The additional height and distance of Luigi's leaps allowed access to areas that remained beyond Mario's reach, while providing alternative routes through dangerous terrain that might otherwise prove impassable. His mastery of aerial maneuvers evolved beyond simple transportation to encompass combat techniques that utilized momentum and positioning in ways that ground-based fighters could not match. The development of Luigi's Thunder Hand abilities during their adventure in the Bean Bean Kingdom marked his first experience with magical powers that existed independently of external power-ups or environmental influences. The electrokinetic energy that flowed through his consciousness responded to his emotional state and tactical needs, creating electrical attacks that could incapacitate multiple enemies simultaneously while providing illumination in dark environments. The Thunder Hand technique required mental discipline and emotional control that challenged Luigi's naturally anxious temperament while rewarding mastery with devastating offensive capabilities. Luigi's manifestation of the negative zone during Super Smash Bros. Tournaments revealed psychological depths that few observers had suspected. The mysterious field of energy drawing power from emotions and experiences that he rarely discussed openly with others. The supernatural phenomenon created localized effects that included temporal distortion, gravitational anomalies, and psychological manipulation that suggested connections to forces beyond normal understanding. The ability's apparent relationship to Luigi's feelings of inadequacy and overshadowing transformed personal struggles into tactical advantages that could influence entire battlefields. The Luigi Gentleman baseball team provided Luigi with his first opportunity to demonstrate leadership capabilities outside the context of life-threatening adventures. The refined sporting organization reflecting his growing confidence in social situations, while showcasing his strategic thinking and team coordination skills. His role as team leader required diplomatic abilities and personnel management that drew upon lessons learned during his various rescue missions, while applying them to competitive rather than heroic contexts. The success of the Luigi Gentleman proved that his capabilities extended beyond supernatural combat to encompass conventional leadership challenges. Luigi's artistic sensibilities emerged most clearly during his exploration of haunted mansions and abandoned structures. His critiques of King Boo's interior decorating choices, revealing aesthetic standards that combined practical functionality with genuine appreciation for beauty and harmony. His ability to recognize quality craftsmanship and historical significance in architectural details provided valuable insights during investigation of ancient ruins and mysterious buildings. The development of these artistic instincts reflected growing cultural sophistication that complemented his tactical abilities while providing emotional outlets for stress and trauma. The animal rights advocacy that Luigi demonstrated during his supernatural investigations revealed moral principles that extended beyond human concerns to encompass all living creatures, regardless of their utility to heroic missions. His distress at evidence of animal cruelty in haunted environments reflected genuine compassion that influenced his approach to problem solving and conflict resolution. This ethical framework provided guidance during morally ambiguous situations, while establishing Luigi as a hero whose motivations transcended simple duty or personal glory. Luigi's reputation for cleanliness and attention to personal hygiene became legendary among his companions. His habit of hand-washing his cap, representing dedication to maintaining standards even during the most challenging adventures. The neat freak tendencies that some observers dismissed as obsessive behavior actually reflected deeper personality traits that included respect for craftsmanship, appreciation for order, and commitment to presenting himself with dignity regardless of circumstances. These habits provided psychological stability during stressful situations, while demonstrating self-respect that enhanced his credibility as a leader. The conversational abilities that Luigi displayed during Paper Mario adventures revealed intellectual curiosity and social skills that had remained hidden during his earlier, more action-oriented quests. His willingness to engage in extended dialogue with diverse characters provided valuable intelligence-gathering opportunities, while demonstrating empathy and understanding that facilitated diplomatic solutions to complex problems. The development of these communication skills transformed Luigi from silent partner to articulate spokesperson capable of representing heroic interests in political and social contexts. Luigi's complex relationship with his growing fan base reflected the psychological challenges inherent in emerging from another person's shadow while establishing independent identity and reputation. The fan club that formed around his accomplishments provided validation and support that helped counteract the overlooking and dismissal he had experienced during his early heroic career. His genuine appreciation for their loyalty demonstrated humility and gratitude that enhanced his appeal while avoiding the arrogance that sometimes accompanied heroic fame. The phenomenon of being overlooked, despite his obvious contributions to major victories, created psychological pressures that Luigi learned to channel into motivation for continued improvement and growth. His ability to maintain dedication and enthusiasm, despite frequent lack of recognition, demonstrated inner strength that exceeded his outward timidity while providing inspiration for others who faced similar challenges. The gradual recognition of his unique value created a heroic narrative that resonated with individuals who had experienced being underestimated or ignored. Luigi's cowardice, paradoxically, became one of his greatest strengths, as it forced him to develop survival skills and strategic thinking that more confident heroes might neglect in favor of direct confrontation. His natural fear of dangerous situations led to careful preparation and thorough analysis that often revealed solutions and opportunities that bolder approaches might miss. The courage required to act despite genuine fear represented a more profound form of bravery than simple fearlessness, creating a heroic model that remained accessible to ordinary individuals facing their own challenges. The sweetness and kindness that characterized Luigi's interactions with both allies and enemies reflected genuine goodness that transcended tactical considerations to encompass authentic care for others' well-being. His optimistic outlook and cheerful demeanor provided emotional support for his companions while creating positive atmospheres that facilitated cooperation and mutual aid. These personality traits proved as valuable as his combat abilities in maintaining team morale and building the relationships necessary for long-term heroic success. Luigi's pure goodness manifested most clearly in his willingness to forgive enemies and extend second chances to individuals who had opposed him in previous encounters. His belief in the possibility of redemption and personal growth created opportunities for former adversaries to become allies while demonstrating moral principles that elevated heroic adventure beyond simple conflict resolution. This philosophical approach to heroism influenced his companions and opponents alike, creating ripple effects that extended far beyond immediate tactical considerations. The enthusiastic energy that Luigi brought to new challenges reflected genuine excitement about discovery and growth that remained undimmed despite the trauma and danger he had experienced throughout his heroic career. His ability to maintain wonder and curiosity about the magical realms he explored provided fresh perspectives on familiar problems, while keeping alive the sense of adventure that made heroic service meaningful rather than merely dutiful. This emotional resilience proved essential in sustaining long-term commitment to protecting multiple kingdoms and dimensions. Luigi's development of distinct speech patterns and vocal characteristics that differed clearly from Mario's established his sonic identity, while providing another marker of his evolution into an independent hero. His particular accent and intonation created recognition factors that allowed allies and enemies to identify him even in situations where visual confirmation remained impossible. The voice work that brought these characteristics to life reflected growing confidence in his own identity, while celebrating the Italian heritage that connected him to his brother without requiring identical expression. The increasing recognition of Luigi's unique value among both allies and former enemies marked the successful completion of his transformation from afterthought to essential team member, whose absence would significantly diminish any heroic effort. His particular combination of abilities, personality traits, and moral principles created a heroic profile that complemented rather than duplicated existing capabilities, while filling roles that no one else could perform as effectively. The journey from shadow to spotlight represented not just personal growth, but fundamental changes in how heroism itself could be defined and expressed. The superhuman strength that coursed through Luigi's deceptively slender frame defied every expectation based on his outward appearance, his physical capabilities, rivaling those of beings whose muscular development appeared far more imposing than his own. His ability to lift and manipulate objects several times, his own weight opened tactical possibilities that extended far beyond simple combat applications, allowing him to reshape battlefield environments and create strategic advantages through environmental manipulation. The exact upper limits of Luigi's strength remained unmeasured and perhaps unmeasurable, as each new challenge seemed to call forth reserves of power that had remained dormant until necessity demanded their activation. Luigi's demonstration of his strength during encounters with King Bob-omb revealed the full scope of his physical capabilities, while highlighting the control and precision that prevented accidental destruction of valuable objects or injury to innocent bystanders. The massive, explosive monarch's weight and bulk should have made lifting impossible for any ordinary individual, yet Luigi managed not only to grasp and manipulate his opponent, but to execute the complex spinning maneuvers necessary for victory. The technique required perfect coordination between strength and balance, while maintaining the mental focus necessary to avoid detonation through careless handling. The confrontations with Bowser himself provided the ultimate test of Luigi's physical prowess. The Koopa King's enormous size and magical enhancements, creating challenges that pushed Luigi's strength to its absolute limits, while demanding split-second timing and flawless execution. The ability to grasp Bowser by the tail and execute the spinning throws that had become his signature technique required not just raw power, but sophisticated understanding of leverage, momentum, and rotational dynamics. Luigi's mastery of these physics principles allowed him to overcome opponents whose individual strength exceeded his own through superior technique and strategic application of force. The incredible jumping ability that had first distinguished Luigi from his brother evolved into a comprehensive aerial combat system that utilized three-dimensional movement and gravitational manipulation in ways that redefined the possibilities of platformer navigation. His capacity to leap 2 stories high opened vertical exploration opportunities that remained inaccessible to ground-based heroes, while providing escape routes and tactical advantages that could turn desperate situations into opportunities for victory. The signature move that became known as the jump jump represented the pinnacle of his aerial mastery, combining height, distance, and precision in a single flowing motion that became his most recognizable technique. Luigi's status as the best jumper in the Mushroom Kingdom extended beyond simple athletic achievement to encompass tactical superiority in environments where vertical movement determined success or failure. His understanding of trajectory, timing, and momentum allowed him to navigate floating platforms and impossible architectural features with graceful efficiency that made complex traversal appear effortless. The development of mid-air control techniques and directional adjustments transformed jumping from simple transportation into a comprehensive movement system that provided solutions to puzzles that might otherwise prove impossible to solve. The superhuman durability that protected Luigi from the devastating impacts and explosive forces that characterized his adventures represented one of his most essential survival traits, allowing him to endure punishment that would incapacitate or kill ordinary individuals. His resistance to falling damage proved particularly valuable, given his preference for high-altitude navigation and aerial combat techniques, while his ability to withstand direct hits from supernatural attacks made him capable of engaging enemies whose power levels exceeded normal heroic capabilities. The exact mechanisms that provided this protection remained mysterious, though their effectiveness had been proven through countless dangerous encounters. Luigi's capacity to survive extreme environmental conditions expanded his operational range to include volcanic regions, Arctic wastelands, and underwater kingdoms that would prove fatal to unprotected humans. His resistance to fire, electricity, and ice opened tactical possibilities that allowed him to pursue enemies into environments where they believed themselves safe from heroic intervention. The combination of environmental protection and enhanced durability created a hero capable of functioning effectively in any terrain or climate that his adventures might require him to navigate. The superhuman stamina that allowed Luigi to maintain peak performance throughout extended adventures represented a crucial advantage that often determined the outcome of prolonged conflicts and exploration missions. His ability to continue fighting and problem-solving without fatigue gave him significant advantages over opponents who relied on overwhelming initial assaults, while lacking the endurance necessary for extended campaigns. The mental stamina that accompanied his physical endurance proved equally valuable, maintaining clear thinking and tactical awareness even during the most stressful and demanding situations. Luigi's superhuman speed manifested most dramatically in his ability to run up walls and across water surfaces, defying gravitational forces through velocity and momentum that exceeded the normal limitations of human locomotion. The wall running technique provided access to areas that even his superior jumping ability could not reach, while creating opportunities for surprise attacks and unconventional escape routes. His capacity to outpace sound itself during certain adventures suggested speed capabilities that bordered on the supernatural while remaining under his conscious control. The pyrokinetic abilities that emerged from Luigi's interaction with fire flowers represented his first experience with elemental manipulation, the power to create and control flame, providing both offensive capabilities and practical applications for environmental modification. His mastery of fire-based attacks evolved beyond simple projectile launching to encompass area denial, illumination, and precision applications that required sophisticated understanding of thermal dynamics and combustion principles. The skill with which he wielded these powers matched Mario's own expertise while maintaining distinct stylistic differences that reflected his more analytical approach to problem solving. Luigi's development of electrokinetic powers through the Thunder Hand technique marked his first experience with magical abilities that originated from within his own consciousness rather than external power sources or environmental influences. The ability to mold lightning into concentrated spheres of electrical energy provided devastating attack options while requiring mental discipline and emotional control that challenged his naturally anxious temperament. The Thunder Hand's capacity to shock and damage multiple enemies simultaneously made it particularly effective against groups of opponents, while its stunning effects provided tactical advantages that extended beyond simple damage. Dealing. The mysterious negative zone phenomenon represented Luigi's most enigmatic ability, drawing power from psychological and emotional sources that remained poorly understood even by Luigi himself. The exotic dancing that accompanied the power's activation created fields of negative energy that affected opponents through temporal distortion, gravitational manipulation, and consciousness alteration that suggested connections to forces beyond normal magical understanding. The ability's apparent relationship to Luigi's experiences of being overshadowed and underestimated transformed personal struggles into tactical weapons that could influence entire battlefields. The superform transformations that Luigi achieved through Super Mushroom power-ups provided temporary enhancements to his already considerable abilities while demonstrating his compatibility with magical augmentation systems. The size increases and power boosts that accompanied these transformations required careful control to avoid accidental destruction, while maximizing the tactical advantages provided by enhanced capabilities. Luigi's mastery of superform combat techniques allowed him to maintain his characteristic precision and analytical approach, even when operating at increased scales and power levels. The master combatant skills that Luigi displayed during Super Smash Bros. Tournaments revealed fighting abilities that had remained largely hidden during his more exploration-focused adventures. Comprehensive martial arts training that encompassed multiple combat disciplines and weapon systems. His unique fighting style blended jumping-based aerial techniques with ground combat fundamentals while incorporating environmental manipulation and power-up integration that created tactical options unavailable to conventional fighters. The development of signature moves and combination attacks demonstrated deep understanding of combat theory and practical application. Luigi's indomitable will emerged as perhaps his most important attribute, providing the psychological foundation that supported all his other abilities, while ensuring that fear and doubt could never completely overcome his commitment to heroic duty. His complete freedom from evil or temptation created a moral anchor that guided his decisions, even in situations where pragmatic considerations might suggest compromise or surrender. The courage that emerged from his naturally fearful temperament represented a more profound form of bravery than simple fearlessness, demonstrating that true heroism could coexist with genuine vulnerability. The leadership abilities that Luigi developed through necessity and experience encompassed both formal command situations and informal influence that helped coordinate group efforts during complex missions. His role as second in command provided valuable experience in personnel management and tactical coordination, while his focused approach to goal achievement inspired confidence among team members who might otherwise struggle with complex objectives. The diplomatic skills that accompanied his leadership development proved equally valuable in negotiations and alliance building that required sensitivity and understanding rather than simple authority. Luigi's expertise in vehicular operation extended across multiple transportation categories, from traditional carts and motorcycles to exotic vehicles that operated according to magical rather than mechanical principles. His intuitive understanding of vehicle dynamics and control systems allowed him to master new transportation methods quickly, while maintaining the precision and safety consciousness that characterized his approach to all potentially dangerous activities. The racing skills that he demonstrated in competitive contexts proved that his abilities extended beyond simple transportation to encompass high-performance maneuvering under pressure. The legacy that Luigi carved throughout the Mushroom Kingdom and beyond transcended the simple accumulation of heroic victories to encompass fundamental changes in how entire civilizations understood the nature of courage, leadership, and the potential for growth within seemingly ordinary individuals. His impact extended far beyond the immediate consequences of his rescue missions and combat victories to influence cultural attitudes, diplomatic relationships, and social structures that would shape the future development of multiple kingdoms and dimensional realm. The transformation that he had undergone from overlooked sidekick to respected hero provided inspiration for countless individuals who had experienced similar feelings of inadequacy or marginalization. The diplomatic relationships that Luigi established during his various adventures created networks of mutual support and cooperation that strengthened the bonds between previously isolated kingdoms, while demonstrating the value of approaching international relations with genuine empathy and understanding, rather than simple political calculation. His natural ability to connect with diverse cultures and species opened communication channels that had remained closed to more traditional diplomatic approaches, while his reputation for honesty and moral integrity provided the foundation of trust necessary for lasting peace agreements. The alliances forged through Luigi's personal relationships proved more durable than those based purely on strategic convenience. Luigi's influence on the development of supernatural investigation techniques, revolutionized how magical threats were identified, analyzed, and neutralized throughout the various realms he had protected during his heroic career. His methodical approach to ghost hunting and his integration of technological tools with supernatural combat created new standards for paranormal research that were adopted by investigators across multiple dimensions. The training protocols and equipment specifications that emerged from his experiences provided future ghost hunters with systematic approaches to challenges that had previously been addressed through improvisation and desperate measures. The inspiration that Luigi provided to naturally timid individuals created a cultural shift in how courage and heroism were defined within the societies he had served, demonstrating that bravery could manifest through careful planning and determined action, rather than requiring innate fearlessness or overwhelming confidence. His example encouraged others who struggled with anxiety and self-doubt to pursue their own heroic callings, while providing practical models for overcoming psychological obstacles that might otherwise prevent heroic development. The support networks that formed around his legacy created communities where individuals could develop their potential without judgment or ridicule. Luigi's contributions to the field of magical research extended beyond his practical applications of supernatural abilities to encompass theoretical understanding of how consciousness interacted with mystical forces and how emotional states influenced magical effectiveness. His detailed documentation of his experiences with various power-ups and magical artifacts provided valuable data for scholars seeking to understand the underlying principles that governed supernatural phenomena. The academic papers and research studies that analyzed his techniques contributed to advances in magical theory that benefited practitioners across multiple disciplines. The environmental protection initiatives that emerged from Luigi's adventures reflected his natural compassion for all living creatures and his understanding of the interconnected relationships that maintained ecological balance across the various realms he had explored. His advocacy for responsible tourism in magical kingdoms and his support for conservation efforts in endangered magical ecosystems demonstrated how heroic influence could extend beyond immediate crisis response to encompass long-term stewardship of natural resources. The wildlife preservation programs that received his endorsement gained credibility and support that enabled their expansion and increased effectiveness. Luigi's role in establishing educational exchange programs between different kingdoms created opportunities for young heroes to develop their abilities while learning about diverse cultures and magical traditions that might otherwise remain isolated from outside contact. His personal mentorship of aspiring adventurers provided guidance and encouragement that helped nurture the next generation of protectors, while ensuring that his accumulated wisdom and experience would not be lost with his eventual retirement from active heroic service. The academies and training centers that incorporated his teaching methods produced graduates whose competence and ethical standards reflected their founders' influence. The technological innovations that emerged from Luigi's collaboration with Professor E, Gad, and other scientific minds created new possibilities for integrating magical and mechanical systems in ways that enhanced the effectiveness of heroic equipment while maintaining safety standards that protected users from dangerous supernatural forces. His input in the development of advanced poltergeist models and supernatural detection equipment reflected practical understanding gained through extensive field experience combined with analytical thinking that identified areas for improvement and enhancement. The patents and technical specifications that resulted from these collaborations advanced the entire field of magical technology. Luigi's influence on popular culture within the kingdoms he had protected created lasting changes in how heroic stories were told and what characteristics were celebrated in legendary figures, moving beyond simple strength and bravery to encompass qualities like persistence, analytical thinking, and emotional intelligence that had characterized his own approach to problem solving. The ballads and stories that celebrated his achievements emphasized the value of preparation, teamwork, and moral clarity, while providing entertainment that also conveyed important lessons about character development and personal growth. The artistic works inspired by his adventures contributed to cultural movements that promoted inclusivity and appreciation for diverse approaches to heroism. The continuing adventures that Luigi undertook as his reputation grew demonstrated his evolution from reactive responder to proactive protector who could anticipate potential threats and take preventive action before crises reached the level of full-scale emergencies. His establishment of early warning systems and intelligence networks provided the kingdoms he protected with strategic advantages that allowed them to prepare for challenges rather than simply responding to them after damage had already occurred. The preventive diplomacy and conflict resolution programs that he initiated reduced the frequency and severity of international incidents, while creating frameworks for peaceful resolution of disputes. Luigi's mastery of new power-ups and magical abilities continued throughout his career as he encountered increasingly sophisticated challenges that required adaptation and growth rather than simple application of existing skills and knowledge. His ability to integrate new capabilities with his established techniques created synergistic effects that multiplied his effectiveness while maintaining the analytical approach and moral clarity that had always characterized his heroic service. The advanced combat techniques and exploration methods that he developed influenced training programs and tactical doctrines across multiple military and adventuring organizations. The respect that Luigi earned from former adversaries represented one of his most significant accomplishments, transforming enemies into allies through consistent demonstration of fair treatment and genuine concern for rehabilitation rather than simple punishment or containment. His willingness to offer second chances and his belief in the possibility of redemption created opportunities for former villains to contribute positively to the societies they had once threatened. The restorative justice programs that incorporated his philosophy achieved higher success rates in preventing recidivism while reducing the social costs associated with continued criminal behavior. Luigi's unique relationship with supernatural entities evolved beyond simple combat and containment to encompass communication and cooperation that opened new possibilities for peaceful coexistence between the living and the dead. His understanding of ghost psychology and his ability to address the underlying issues that created hostile supernatural behavior led to innovative approaches to paranormal problems that emphasized resolution rather than destruction. The supernatural mediation services that he provided helped resolve conflicts between different types of entities while establishing precedents for diplomatic solutions to problems that had traditionally been addressed through force. The protection that Luigi provided to multiple kingdoms and dimensions created stability that allowed for economic development, cultural exchange, and scientific advancement that might otherwise have been impossible in environments constantly threatened by supernatural or magical dangers. His presence as a guardian and protector enabled societies to focus their resources on positive development rather than defensive measures, while creating conditions that fostered innovation and creativity. The prosperity and peace that flourished under his protection demonstrated the broader benefits of heroic service that extended far beyond immediate crisis resolution. Luigi's evolution into equality with Mario in their heroic partnership represented the culmination of his personal development while creating new possibilities for collaborative adventures that utilized both brothers' unique strengths and perspectives. The balanced relationship that emerged from years of shared experiences and mutual growth provided a model for heroic partnerships that emphasized cooperation and complementary abilities rather than hierarchy and dependency. Their joint leadership of major expeditions and crisis responses demonstrated how individual growth could enhance rather than threaten existing relationships. The influence that Luigi exercised on younger characters and next-generation heroes created a legacy that would extend far beyond his own active career, ensuring that his values and methods would continue to shape heroic service for generations to come. His mentorship style emphasized encouragement and practical guidance, while respecting individual differences and allowing protégés to develop their own approaches to heroic challenges. The heroes who trained under his guidance carried forward his commitment to moral clarity, analytical thinking, and compassionate service, while adapting his methods to their own unique circumstances and abilities. Luigi's story transcends the simple narrative of a supporting character, finding his voice to encompass profound truths about the nature of courage, growth, and the countless forms that heroism can take throughout the vast tapestry of existence. His journey represents the enduring power of persistence over perfection, demonstrating that true greatness emerges not from the absence of fear, but from the willingness to act despite trembling hands and racing hearts. From the trembling plumber who first ventured into those haunted mansion corridors, to the confident adventurer who now stands as an equal beside his famous brother, Luigi has carved his own unique path through the pantheon of heroes while remaining authentically himself. His legacy lives not merely in the kingdom saved or ghosts captured, but in the inspiration he provides to anyone who has ever felt overshadowed, overlooked, or afraid to step forward into their own potential. Luigi's green hat and overalls have become symbols of quiet determination and inner strength, proving that heroism exists in countless forms and that every individual possesses the capacity for extraordinary achievement when circumstances demand courage and circumstances provide opportunity. His evolution from palette swap to beloved icon demonstrates how authentic character development rewards patience and perseverance while honoring the unique gifts that each person brings to the greater good. The continuing adventures that await Luigi in the ever-expanding universe of magical kingdoms and supernatural threats promise new opportunities for growth and service, while building upon the solid foundation of experience and wisdom that he has accumulated throughout his remarkable career. As new challenges emerge from dimensions yet unexplored and threats yet unimagined, Luigi stands ready with poltergust in hand and analytical mind engaged to face whatever mysteries the future may reveal. His story continues to evolve and inspire, reminding us that the most unlikely heroes often become the most beloved, and that everyone deserves their moment to step out of the shadows and into the light of their own legend.